Rustomjee Group, the leading developer in Mumbai, is a name that stands robust and prominent in the real estate industry with its premium residential and commercial spaces. Today, we have the driving force behind the legacy of the Rustomjee Group, the man who needs no introduction in the real estate industry, the chairman and the managing director of the Rustomjee Group, Mr. Boman Rustom Irani. With over 26 years of experience and who has taken the legacy of the brand to soaring heights with his business understanding and passion for real estate. He is the current president to CREDAI MCHI and next in line to become president for National CREDAI. His brand Rustomjee has emerged as one of the most powerful RE brands in MMR in last 1 decade specifically. Thank you, Mr. Boman, for joining us today on Let's Talk Business series by RealtyNXT.
Thank you, Kritika. Thank you for having me over.
So I want to know from you in the start is, every developer's dream is your journey. So what are the key 3 things that you believe you did differently in comparison to others? Because when it comes to your name and your brand name, it's a household name when someone talks about real estate in MMR.
My God, all those compliments. Thank you very, very much, Kritika. I think it's not about doing things differently. It's about doing things right. The way we look at real estate as a business, it's actually such a simple business on the surface, isn't it? People come to you for a home. They're expecting only what has been assured to them or what has been promised. And going further from there, all they want is timely delivery at the price that you've kind of informed them about, with the quality that you have assured them or given them a view on. From the start, we at Rustomjee believe that you should try and wow the customer at all points of time. Give him more than what has been promised. Give him or her more than what has been promised. If it's possible, try and delight a customer, not just satisfy them, but delight them. We have a strong team or a strong principal. Customer is always right. And I think my entire team, I'm blessed to have a great team that kind of looks at it that way. We've tried to stay away from quick fixes. We've tried to focus on long-term growth. You mentioned about our journey being something that most real estate developers would like to follow. I think the one thing that we need to tell everybody is a promise made should be delivered, and if not, then you should quietly pay the price. If it's possible, if you fall, get up, dust it off, and keep moving on. Simple principles of life. Keep your customer first. Keep your customer delighted. Keep your customer with you. Build every home like it was going to be your home, and do unto others as you'd want them to do unto you. So if nobody likes to be, I would say, shortchanged, and I kind of give this example to most of my people. I tell them, imagine buying for them what is the possible, buying a motorcycle or buying a car. And I say, imagine someone goes out there and he's taking delivery of the car and he goes home and then there's trouble out there, right? I said people buy 5 or 6 cars in their lifetime, but most people buy only one home. So imagine giving a customer a home which is not as per his requirement or his delight, or something that does not function properly. So every time we've had a problem, we've stood up, we've stood tall, I would say, and taken it on the chin and said, listen, let's resolve it for you. I think that is the secret to our long-term or continued growth and success. We've faced a lot of downhills also along the way. You know that the real estate industry has been having its own share of storms, especially in the last 10 to 12 years, I can say, with the global financial crisis, then the Mumbai DCR going in for an abrupt change in 2012. After that, GST, RERA, demonetization. It's important to keep perspective at times like this. You might lose money, but as long as you stay on the path of knowing that if you did the right thing, business would by itself grow. And another thing that I've realized is there should be no flash in the pans. There should be no sudden spurts. There should be a continued trajectory of growth. Don't try and make too big an impact up front and then vanish away from the skyline. Much rather you keep building. Our business is built brick by brick. So if you build your reputation also brick by brick, you do very well in the long run.
True. So when we talk about top branded developers, everyone comes from a family background of real estate. But when we talk about Rustomjee, what made you embark upon real estate journey? Because your dad was in a different business, in a different sector.
That's a pretty interesting question, and to give you a short answer, I come from the background where manufacturing was a very big thing, right? And in manufacturing, processes and systems are huge. Now, go back to 1990, 91, when I did have a family asset to sell. I met up with some of the developers of that time, of that era, and what I realized was, while there was a lot of creativity in them, great amount of energy and enthusiasm, what I did notice even at that age, I was about 19, 20, 21, I noticed that there was not enough structure. Everything was I, me, myself. And coming from industry background, coming from an engineering mindset, I realized that a lot more could be done, or I believed a lot more could be done if there were set processes, systems, if there were charts that were made upfront. Some developers did have it then. And after we sold that property, I went back to my family and said, look, if I could have a small portion of about 2,000 odd meters, I think I could do this business. And they were kind enough to believe in me, and the rest, as they say, is history. From day one, from our story where we started off chairman to watchman, we were 4 people in the company, to today when we are 650 plus, and doing development across the city and then across the MMR as well, having done everything from standalone structures to gated communities to townships, everything from affordable housing, which we call the under 1 crore, to the mid-mass, which is the 1 to 3 crores, going all the way into what's called aspirational segment, which is 3 to 7 crores, and then 7 crores and above we classify as premium, and then 15 crores and above we classify as super premium. And fortunately, Rustomjee has stayed, or has managed to create a niche for itself in all these segments. What we haven't done is, of course, gone out and done a lot of commercial. We built commercial buildings, but more social commercial buildings like schools, hospitals, etc. We've not built that part of our arm. We are working on that as of right now. We haven't gone from city to city. We realize that our strength is local. Residences require an unbelievable amount of ability to know the customer's lifestyle. Yeah. And once you get that right, and you're able to kind of serve the customer what he needs but still doesn't know he wants it till it's given to him or her, you're able to create a wow factor for the people. So we are very research oriented. As a company, Rustomjee has always been one that went back to its customers 3 to 5 years after the buildings were completed, and now we have all these research reports, etc. But I'm talking from 1996. After we completed the buildings, we used to actually go back to the homes of those that had bought our homes and ask them what we did right, what we did wrong, what areas. Let's say we had defined something as a storeroom area and that got converted into a puja room, for instance. I remember that was a early trend at that point of time, and I thought a store is more important than the house, but for people in that community, it was more important to have a puja room. We picked it up as a point and put it down in an SOP and said, hey, in the future, there'll be a puja nook or a puja room or a puja corner in every house, because that is something that we had not known before that. Like this, we kept building on our knowledge and database, and we keep going back to the books and trying to figure out ways in which Rustomjee can build better homes that we have learned over the years to do. And over here again, a small example I always point out to my people is, you look at the automobile industry, they're always able to change what the customer's requirement is next year, and then give that aspirational bit to the customer and say, hey, if you had this, what do you think? And then that becomes the norm, and then they bring the next big thing in and the next big thing in. Real estate has not been so lucky to be hit by, or to be able to come up with so many innovations. But what we can do is at least take care of these finer things. So today in our homes, even if I'm building a 1-bedroom, we'll build 2 bathrooms in that, because we realize a family of 5 stays there. And morning, between 7 and 9 is the most active time. And if the bathrooms are 2, at least one of the parents and one of the children could kind of make use of the same amount of time. So, you're saving that 15 minutes or 5 minutes or 7 minutes that people are using that area, and give more productivity to them. So while it means an additional 28 square feet, it's 28 square feet of very well spent money. Things like this have been at the core of Rustomjee's philosophy, and we have been fortunate to have reaped the successes on what we've built as our SOPs over time.
Is it true, because I've read somewhere that during the launch your mother said, I will only come if you put this brand name as Rustomjee under your father's name?
Educated people aren't very smart, that's what I want to tell you. And I'm not saying my mother was not educated, but if you work with the heart, right?
Yeah.
If you go with emotions, you're more often going to be right than be wrong, because your heart already knows, your brain just has to kind of accept it. Yes, it's true. We came up with some fantastic names. Again, educated people. We hired some consultants, worked with certain names which were pretty, according to me, chic sounding at that point of time. And I went to my mother with an entire brochure and said, Mom, this is what we plan to do, this is how we do it, etc. She says, all this is great, but I don't see your father's name. So I said, Mom, that is so passé. I mean, who does that, right? She said, that's fine. You do what you want. I'm not coming for the Bhumi Pujan if my late husband's name is not there. And that was the birth of Rustomjee. I would say probably the best decision that we took for a lot of reasons. At that point of time, and even today, the Parsi brand continues to evoke a lot of trust.
True.
Or it inspires you to build to a particular quality because of the great grand history that Parsis have, at least in Mumbai. And secondly, once you put your father's name somewhere, then you're going to be a lot more careful. I don't know if I'd be less careful earlier, but we are a lot more careful, concerned. We can only say that it's a reputation that we will continue building. And I say this quite openly. 26 years being in the business, this year will be 27 in April. Being in the business, we've built 280 plus buildings, 20 million square feet, 15,000 homes delivered. But the one thing that we have built, which we are most proud of, is our reputation. And we will keep working on that. So that was also a great memory from back then. Thank you, Kritika, for bringing it up.
So your brand tagline and the logo is around being thoughtful. So how do you live this by, the tagline through your different cycles of real estate process, in terms of what brief you would have given to your architect team or the construction team or your marketing or sales? How do you make sure that everyone lives by this motto?
I would start off with first wanting it yourself. You want to do it yourself. You want to be doing the right thing, like I said, right? From there on, it's just a matter of practice and putting it across to people time and again and saying that you need to do the right things at all points of time. Let me tell you, we built the first wheelchair access to homes much before it became, let's say, today it's almost mandated. We built the first sewage treatment plant much before Environment Act became applicable to real estate. The idea is, like I told you, the automobile industry keeps on, redefining itself. You have to keep trying to redefine your products. You have to see the kind of market you're headed towards. Rustomjee happens to be one of probably very few developers, and we were the first to provide one bathroom in every home where you could have wheelchair access, right? Or let's say you had a broken foot or an older person in the house. So we have a seating in one of the showers. We have a handrail for people to get up from, their toilet seats itself. So these kind of things are essential. Initially, you've got to want it. You've got to tell people that it's required. It's needed. It is something that will be a differentiator. After that, you let them also take off from there. And then they come up with a slew of things. Today, you'll be surprised at how a young mind thinks. And, whenever I'm interacting with a younger mind, I kind of am intrigued at the kind of clarity of thought or the vision that comes out of them. All they don't have is the perseverance. So you have to grab the idea and then keep them in that rail and say, keep going ahead on that. So Rustomjee has done many firsts for a lot of these things in homes. We are continually redefining ourselves. And it's thoughtful. It's Rustomjee is not just a tagline. It didn't come out of any smart PR or advertising agency. It actually came out of 600 hours of time spent, 600 man hours of time spent by our team, which was totally put together. There were professionals brought in to kind of speak about and get from the industry, from our team about the industry, about the future of real estate. And it's thoughtful. It's Rustomjee was a culmination of the thought process of the entire team put together and brought into a laser and said, what is it that Rustomjee, could do? We just said, we are thoughtful. We will take care of. If we have not done something right, we will stand up and accept that we've not done it right and try to do it right. If there is something we've left out and we've understood later, you can be certain we will do it in the following buildings. We were also one of those who kept pushing for balconies in our apartments much before COVID happened, and only after COVID happened people realized the value or the power of or just the lifestyle that one can kind of build on if one had a balcony. And we just kept on pushing for those initially. And in the old Mumbai, if you remember, balconies used to get covered up by windows, etc. Yeah. So we said, fine, if you want to cover up the windows, here's a kind of a window that kind of slips, slides and goes all the way to the end. So we researched, we found the right product, we put it over there, and we said, at an extra cost, you can have this convenience as well. So whenever you want to air condition it, please, because the Mumbai weather is a little bit of sultry in the monsoons as well as in the summer. So we said you should have that amenity as well. But otherwise than that, please have a balcony which you can utilize in the mornings. Keep it open. Sit down there and listen to the birds. We created probably one of the best, I would say, terrace gardens. You should come across to Elements and see. It's about a 450-meter walk one way on that terrace, and that terrace has got great amount of plantation on it, great sitting nooks, nooks and corners. Imagine walking in absolute safety about 56 meters up in the air, where you're away from, let's say, the traffic or any kind of hindrance that could come with it. A huge broad walkway from one end to the other with people, like-minded people, saying good morning, light music playing in the background. Again, over there, let me tell you, we researched and said that to get birds in, what kind of species of plantation should be done, and thereby how to actually encourage birds to come in over there. So over the audio system, we started playing bird chirping sounds, and you'll be surprised I'm told the concentration of sparrows that we have on that terrace today. Yeah. Because sparrows are beautiful small birds, but they are actually vanishing from Mumbai city. Yeah. You will not find them in too many places. When I was a child, we used to see sparrows like for the asking. Today those sparrows are plenty atop Rustomjee Elements, and we just thought it's important to do it. After that, now terraces are gaining, a great, venue for most other developers also. I'm very happy. I'm very happy that everybody do the right thing. Everybody start following, because in real estate, it is my belief that every home buyer is looking for comfort, is looking for lifelong value. And if all of us can create that, I just think this market will only improvise or improve. And again, to give you an example out here, first in terms of gold jewelry, you had these 1 or 2 or 3 strong brands that ruled the Mumbai market. Yeah. And then there were scores of other jewelers who used to do the small jobs. But now today, see, the biggest brands are in this business. And still, nobody's business has gone down. Jewelry by itself has grown as a market. And that is when, at the advent of RERA, and I'm just taking you away a little bit, when RERA became a reality, most people were concerned. I just thought of it so positively. I said, hey, here is something that will give my customer, beyond only my brand, a little bit of a comfort that he can invest in real estate. I said, what greater asset can I give, to my family or my future generations than a great home? And voila! I mean, truly today, if you see, everybody is happier because of RERA, because the consumer is happier to put his money. Even an investor is happy to put his money into real estate, because he knows if he does not get what he's been promised, he's got an ombudsman he can go to. There is someone who's going to listen to him and give him speedy dispensation of what he needs. True. So these kind of things, keep us always motivated, happy. We never look at it, Rustomjee, these things as obstacles. We, as a matter, look at them as business improvement areas. And while most of the people talk about compliances becoming too many, I keep telling my people what is wrong with that compliance. It is absolutely a step in the right direction by the government, asking for us to do the right things. Yeah. Fine, you as a great company did it earlier. Rustomjee has always been doing it, but now everybody has to follow that, and now we are supposed to report it. No harm in that, right? True. We should keep on making this industry larger. We are still looking at first homes. There is still a second home. Then there is a, plot of land that people might want to buy, a holiday home that they might want to invest in. Investments in real estate have actually grown the wealth of an Indian over the years. At one point in time, 50% of your wealth was generated out of what your real estate investments were. Then for a long time it shrunk because people are scared of this business. Yeah. Today I think it's again growing. We've still not reached the peak. And you might see that in about 2 or 3 years, given the maturity of RERA and given the maturity of the maturing of this industry and of all the compliant real estate developers coming in out here, you might see a big boom or an even bigger boom in time to come.
See, maturing of real estate industry is definitely happening. And in that context, I want to ask you, during the listing, you had completely quoted that, you're going to put all the money in MMR region and you're not going to push the demographics. And in comparison to what other players are doing like Lodha, Godrej, Prestige, everyone are pushing the demographics. And don't you feel that particular statement of yours is a bit conservative?
So I'd much rather build my business brick by brick. I'd much rather have a steady graph of growth than trying to just take off like this and maybe, not being able to control it. Good luck to those who can do it. But let me ask you a question, Kritika. Do you know what percentage of the recognized residential real estate market of India was of the MMR region alone in 2020, 2021, 22? Almost 40%.
Yeah.
These are reports. Now, when you are a dominant developer of a particular micro market, which you understand, not only understand, which you can give direction to, why would I want to go anywhere else? This is a wide market. This is a deep market. This continues to be the most sought after market. I mean, I don't even need to take names of all the developers from the other geographies that are looking at coming over here. I'm very happy. Please do come, because like I told you earlier, the market segment should only grow. And with this growth in this market segment, I continue to be one of the most, well, like you already mentioned, and as a developer which most buyers would aspire to buy from. I'll keep growing myself in this area. I'll create a size and scale. We are in the MMR. We're not only restricted to Mumbai. MMR is a very large area. We go everywhere that infrastructure is, slated to grow. We will go everywhere where we believe that there is a future growth of requirement of good homes in that area, right? So it could be a hub that gets created, like a warehousing hub that got created, right? We went and started acquiring development rights in that area. Our model is always very, very asset light. We do not want to burden ourselves with acquisition of properties which could then weigh us down. And those land banking days, if you remember, so many, the promise that came in 2005-06, I've got land banks, and everybody went to the market. We don't believe that business works. I've seen it in China, I've seen it in India happen before. We are very conservative. We will stay true to what we understand. We will continue to excel in what we do. We'll continue to grow our market share in this, which is the largest market. And like I said, in time to come, we'll redefine our stance. But today, I'm very clear, and my entire board supports our view as a company that we don't need to step out into all these markets. We are very, very growth oriented in this micro market, and this micro market will see a great amount of growth going further.
How important the IPO was for you? Apart from raising funds or lowering the debts, what was the motivation behind of listing the company?
So, in our journey of development, if there's one thing that stands true, it is the fact that you always need to be in the money. A real estate developer, no matter how profitable the business be, has to continually make sure the projects are running at full steam. So we've done that through private financing in the past, we've done that through debt, we've done that through private equity. Coming to the markets was an obvious happening in some point of our career. And like I said, this is not something we started thinking about today and just jumped in and said we should do it. And quite honestly, Kritika, it wasn't even the debt. We didn't have that kind of debt. As a matter of fact, before we came to the markets, we reduced a huge amount of our debt. We at one point of time did take a single-minded focus how we can improve our balance sheets, what is it that is required for future growth. Even if it meant to degrow for some time, we accepted that, and we said from here on the only way forward should be in this structured fashion. So coming to the public markets was an obvious choice for us. We've been discussing, or rather gathering knowledge on this from a very long time, and when we did find the opportunity, not the first time, but the second time, the third time, we at some point in time decided to take that call. There are advantages, there are disadvantages, like anywhere else, right? So as a company, we've always worked with private equity, so we've always been transparent, we've always had great governance systems, so all that was a given for us. Yeah. As a company, we've also been, transparency has been built into the various layers of our business itself. Because we believe that a business, if it has to run well, it has to be a see-through kind of a business. You got to know, except for your strategy and for your deal making, you have to have a clear line of sight for most other functions. We decided to go to the markets because we believe it's a great way of putting yourself out there and letting people take advantage of this business. Other than just investing in real estate, today you can invest in the stocks of real estate companies, namely ours, and reap the benefits of doing that. I don't need to mention this because every astute investor knows that in any stock market, if you're a trader, God bless you, but if you're someone who buys a stock, which is a good stock, and holds it over a period of time, the dividends are multiplied manyfold, right? We know for a fact that we as a company are on a growth path. We know as a fact that as a company, we will be able to give great returns to our investors. We know as a company, we're going to continually need to be in the public markets because that's a great avenue to raise finances time and again. We know as a company, we will continue to give returns to our investors as such. And more importantly, redevelopments, which we are so focused on in this city, is something that is going to grow. You're reading the papers every day, right? There are redevelopments literally coming out of every page in that newspaper. Yeah. And if it's no secret but drive around the city is under redevelopment in a manner of speaking. So we at Rustomjee have been doing redevelopment since the year 2000, right? And we are ahead of the curve than most other people on this. And this business requires money. So, and it requires to have a certain perception as well. Today, when I go to go for a business with a society, or I go to take a redevelopment property, they are very comfortable with the fact because everything that I have is out there in the open. They can read my balance sheets, they can understand what kind of operating cash flows I have. They are very comfortable with that. Otherwise, most of the companies are in this shroud. We don't know who it is. We don't know what kind of money they have. So this worked out very well for us. It also worked out very well for us to be, subscribed by 54,000 shareholders initially. So that many people have faith in this company by virtue of the fact that they may have at some point in time invested with us as a purchaser of an apartment, may have dealt with us as a supplier or contractor, enjoyed our transaction. This only adds credibility, this only adds value. And I can tell you this, that we didn't have any need to go to the markets to reduce debt. But what we have done after we've gone to the markets is we've reduced debt hugely. Today our debts are down to, I can say that we'd be able to pay down all debts. We could be a zero debt company in less than a year's time if we so decided. But we will continue to have headroom now because of that for all new developments that we undertake, because debt to equity should be according to us, a healthy debt to equity should be a 1:1 ratio. And we've got a war chest right now with us. We are able to expand our reach. We are able to take on more projects. We are able to reach far and wide in this city itself. We've realized that Rustomjee not being present in the eastern suburbs was something that residents out there were longing for or asking for. And our one foray into Bhandup, where we sold off almost about 80% of our stock in less than 6 months' time, which is not even the norm that we follow everywhere, showed us that there's a great amount of buyer potential in that market. And today we are expanding our developments in the eastern suburbs. So today we have a war chest. We are out there, we are transparent for all to see the kind of development work that the company is doing, because we've got to keep filing our results every 3 years. And I believe that going forward, companies that have or are in the public market spaces have the right governance in place, have the right transparency for all to see in place, and can exhibit strength by virtue of the work that they do, will be the companies that would have the maximum potential for growth.
So in MMR, we are also seeing different players, especially Lodha is getting into branded land developments. So what is your take on this? And will we see Rustomjee also getting into this particular land brand developments?
So if there's one thing you should know about Rustomjee, we will not take any knee-jerk decisions. We will not jump in or jump out of something that looks very attractive today. We are a little bit like the Japanese over there. We will evaluate, we will ascertain, we will test, we will be almost certain before we decide to kind of make a big jump in. And over here, I just want to state to you that the real estate business has been going on, according to the words of one of my uncles, late uncles. He said the real estate business has been going on since the times of Aurangzeb. So it's only changing its form, right? There were zamindars and tikadars, and today it's changing. But the business will continue. People require a good home, a good shelter. People require it to be at a great location. People require to have a great community around them. People's needs are all that I need to be focused on and take care of it. I don't think I need to be in every asset class. I think I just need to be in the asset classes that matter, or those that I have a great grip on. And it's not like we shut our eyes to anything. We are a very aware company. We keep our tentacles absolutely up there. We are very sensitive to everything that happens. We have an entire team, a young team that kind of keeps us apprised of all the newer happenings that are taking place and that possibly could take place in the future. We may be slow, but we are certain. We don't like to have climb up slippery slopes and wind up in a position. We've done that in the past, being over aggressive. I don't think this is the time for this business to be over aggressive. I think this is the time for a business to define itself. And real estate, once it's defined and you can stick to the business plans or stay the path, you have greater chances of greater success than trying to experiment too largely with things. Having said that, I can tell you that we have been looking at plotted developments for some time. I can say since 2018. We may make an announcement sometime soon, but nothing on the cards that I can talk about today.
So tell me, you must have noticed in Mumbai there have been a lot of infrastructure projects delayed, right? But the current government is making sure that more infrastructure projects are in place and on timeline. The city comes into a development front. What is your take on this? Do you think Mumbai as a city in past had missed out on a good opportunity because of delayed in infrastructure projects?
See, no point crying over spilt milk. Okay, so I won't speak about that. What I can tell you is, like I mentioned earlier, by 2025, I'm giving it an additional year, right? A lot of this infrastructure will start functioning. A big part of our city would have been rejuvenated by all the redevelopments that are taking place. The number of new entertainment, work, study, spiritual upliftment places would have been created, and all of these would obviously enhance the life of you and I, and by that Mumbai would have once again become that city where every Indian would aspire to. They say live at least once in New York in your life so that you understand what city life is all about. I'm saying the same is going to be true about Mumbai. And it used to be true at one point of time. Everybody in all movies used to go and watch just because there was Mumbai in that, and Mumbai life, and songs got made about that. I'm seeing that era come back again. Infrastructure, especially that which comes from the metro rail, is going to change the way the city functions. Just to give you an example, our offices in Andheri, people that work with us come all the way from Daisar, Kandivli, on both sides of, whether it's on the highway or on the link road. And today, they're able to make it to the office in about 23 to 24 minutes from literally their homes or once they get to the station in air-conditioned comfort versus 1.5 hours in the traffic that used to be there earlier. Literally get down and walk across to the office. It's a breeze. Life has given them 2 hours more in a day, right? The 1 hour lost in the morning and maybe 1.5 hour lost in the evening. This allows them for a better life and lifestyle. Big impact. Another big impact is going to be the roads that we create. When the Maha Mumbai opens up on the other side, because the Trans Harbour Link, you'll create educational universities out there that will have a lot more space where, you know, our future generations can go and educate themselves, and we don't have to send them offshore. You will have infrastructure in terms of warehouses or in terms of commercial offices, which will be larger floor plates. You know, those businesses that need to be closer to the airport for purposes of their needs would start moving over there. The city would in a way be able to move a lot faster, better, without signals, if it's possible. You would have a lot less pressure on SV road coming once the Sea Link or the coastal road goes all the way up to Warsaw. I think all of this just adds to the value of life in the city. And even if you see the way the infrastructure is being developed today, there's a lot of beauty to it. There's aesthetic. There is no longer just putting those blocks in place and saying this is done. I see so many small things in the city. The underside of most of these flyovers are getting greened out. First plantations are taking place. Walking tracks are being made. Seating spaces are. It's a city, right? You are going to hear the honking on the other side, but you're at least happy that you can sit with a friend in an open environment and have a conversation with great greenery around you. Small things like this will also make a difference. The way newer CBDs will come up in this city will change the way people live and work from there. You will see a future where people will start moving closer to their places of work or places of in the US it's still true. People move because they want to be close to a good school in that area so that their children would have a better life, or would just like a neighborhood that is a little more spread out. And they're able to do that because of the infrastructure or the roads. America didn't build the roads built America. Yeah. And that's exactly what I'm seeing in Mumbai. I can honestly say I'm seeing that in the entire country. There's a lot of infrastructure work going on, and shocking pace. Great happiness to people like us who look at the future and look forward to the potential of the future. And kudos to the government for taking this up. I am a fortunate person to live in these times, to be able to kind of experience that city undergoing an entire change. Some amount of time we are facing a little bit of AQI, etc., but that's fine. For a better future, that should be fine. And Mumbai is a blessed city. We've got a fantastic national park. We've got the RA. We've got great greenery, even in parts in the city. The city has been well planned. We've got a coastline that is brilliant. It's like possibly one of the best in the country. Yeah. And we are a very fortunate city. And with all this infrastructure, we'll only grow it more. We'll only become that much more better. And I look forward to the day, like I said, maybe 2025, when I don't need to use a car anymore, and I can just travel by public transport and get from point A to point B much faster, easier. I'm looking forward to those days.
So you have done so many projects. There must be one particular project that you face a lot of difficulty in executing it. So which one that project would be in your complete till now in this journey?
Kritika, let me answer this like this. I've always said real estate is a very basic and simple business as far as the understanding of the consumer goes, if you take care of that. But on the other side, it's extremely complex. Everything from safety at sites, which is such a science today, given that we're doing high rises of about 200 plus meters, 250 plus meters, it becomes essential that you literally have a safety mechanism in place for most things, because human life cannot be replaced, right? And you need to take care of that. Having said that, compliances today are so many that sometimes you get exploited if you're not careful enough to make sure that compliance has been taken care of. Because we know the history that we've been facing as developers. You always come with first wrong till you're proven right. Yeah. So in that fashion, they're all very, very complex. And then given the fact that land titles happen to be a big issue, there's still a long way to go before I can get a title certificate that will not get challenged, that is given by the government or some kind of title guarantee. So till then, most of the projects that we've done, we've always seen a little bit of, I would say, a period in time when it has been a little bit of a struggle. We faced, I don't want to take any particular project's name, but I'd like to say that in one particular project, there were so many wrongdoings by an earlier developer that came back to bite us. In hindsight, one just takes it as a learning. Today I'm a much better developer with a lot more experience in my books for what happened then. And the same mistake will not happen again. Rustomjee will learn, and Rustomjee will not allow itself to go back there again. I can tell you, in one of the developments that we took upon, a stressed asset, we thought customer mindsets would be the moment a developer comes and gives certainty on completion of the project, that project would fly through. But that is not the mindset of a consumer. I mean, the consumer has gone through pain in the past, and he expects or she expects to be heard about that pain or compensated for that pain. So these are things that do not have a resolve, right? They have to be kind of tempered over time or communicated time and again with. And we are fortunate to have very good, people in the right places who kind of understand the complexity of this business, having been through. There are so many bodies nowadays that govern us, and I'm glad today the administration has got its mind in the right place. They understand what the right from the wrong. They don't only read the rule by what is written, they go by the spirit of what has been written, and this has really helped us. Complexity will continue to stay a part of real estate development, whether it is in India or any part of the world. I have seen you have so many things that one has to look at, but overall we are in a much better environment today than we were in the past. We've suffered terribly, like I mentioned to you, of so many things, from global financial crisis affecting us to a change in the DCR to Notebandi to GST, but these things will keep happening in time. I just hope they don't happen at such quick intervals going forward, and actually give us some time to kind of recover from one before we go into the next. I would not like to quote any particular project that has given me pain, because every project is dear to me, and if you ask me which is your best project, I'd say the next one is, because that's always the aspiration at Rustomjee. We always try to, the only competition we have is actually ourselves. That was not a very cocky statement if I say so. It is true that we always try to better ourselves, because that's the one thing we have full control of. The environment we don't have control of, so you keep doing what you're good at and you keep trying to better that, because that is where success lies according to us.
So tell me about your partners, because you're the only developer in India who has managed good partnerships. How do you manage that? Because every partnership goes to certain ups and downs, and how do you make sure that you and your partners are on the same page? Are there any challenges, or when do you face challenge, how you overcome together in that partnership?
So let me put it this way, partnerships are life, okay? Marriage is a partnership. You will have troubles, but as long as you're able to kind of sit across and sort it out one-on-one, at least if you have that mindset, you're able to kind of cure as much as is possible, right? Partnerships are also true for all businesses, whether it's a partnership, whether it's a contractor serving a project of mine, whether it's a supplier supplying me something, we work on the spirit of building that partnership. But that comes out of the base that Rustomjee is all about. We're three of us, right? And 26 years, touch wood, I'd like to say, we may have had ups and downs, but we've been one, our voice has been one, and we've understood that in a partnership there's always going to be a little bit of a give and take. No one is always going to be right. And if you think of it in a positive way, you look at the strength of a partnership. You've got, I've got two other people who I could go to sleep, and I know that if they are awake, they're doing the right thing for the company. They're literally standing guard for most, and so would I. So we have that comfort amongst ourselves. Partnerships with fellow developers have been very interesting. Developers are actually all alpha males, I'd like to say, but alpha in nature, and if you only understand what makes them tick or what is it that they want, you're fine, right? And I have a rule. If I enter a partnership, I don't jump in big. I will start off small. We will suss each other out. You could be a great person, I could be a nice person, but sometimes the chemistry does not gel. At that point of time, we take a step back, we say, fine, let's close this over here. Money made, little less, little more, really doesn't matter. There's no point fighting and getting our creativity crushed. We are a very creative company. We believe there's a lot more growth that can be got, and one bad decision does not need to kind of bring you down. You just kind of dust it off and move on. That's worked very well for us. We have, for some period of time, even seen a little bit of a battle, but that has never been because of two partners. That has been because of the ill doings of somebody that came back and splashed itself on us. We took some pragmatic calls, we took some decisions, we took some hits out there. But in the long run, I think it's allowed us not to slow down. It's allowed us not to break our speed. It's allowed us to make the most of the present or the circumstances at that point of time. And they worked out well for us. So a partnership is all about a mindset. If you're ready to let go, what may be important to the other person, may be important to you, but you just kind of gauge what is more important to you. You're able to keep the partnership in the long run. And we worked with this. We worked with a partnership with all our financiers, with all our suppliers, with all our contractors, with all our landowners, with all our development fellow developers. And even when we go in for a society redevelopment, I actually tell everybody out there, you're like a partner to us. You're as important to us. Even though you're one amongst 50 or one amongst 500, you're as important. Your voice is as important for us. And I think that adds a great amount of strength to our ability to reach out to people and partner with us, for people to partner with us. Another thing, Kritika, if I gave you my card right now, you'll be able to see my mobile number down there, which means that I tell people when I give them the card, you cannot call me because my calls are generally on silent. But if you WhatsApp me, and today because of the volume of WhatsApps, I usually tell them between 24 and 48 hours, your issue will at least be addressed. You'll either get a call from me or one of my team members where your issues are at least spoken about and addressed. So if you send me a message and said, we need to meet, and if I could not immediately, I tell my EA to kind of get in touch with you and say, hey, fix up a time sometime when I have the time, but I definitely want to kind of catch up. Or then at least communicate nicely and say that this isn't happening. These simple little things, communication and continuous communication are essential to a partnership. People are in a business to do the right thing more often than not. It's the misunderstandings that creep in because of distances created. And sometimes that happens involuntarily. You should accept it. You should apologize. And you should just kind of make amends and move on. It's true in every sphere of life. It's true in business as well.
You said earlier the real estate market has been unorganized, and slowly we are seeing the changes is coming there. But young entrepreneurs, even like me, when we were embarking on this real estate journey, even our parents, family were not okay about it because the bad name is given to Indian real estate. What would be the 3 key points you would like to say to an entrepreneur who is embarking on this real estate journey to become a developer or to become an entrepreneur? How does he or she can up his game by giving 3 key insights to that entrepreneur?
Let me take you back to the start of our conversation. I realized very early in life, real estate is a lot about glamour, right? And if you look at the 2 businesses that Mumbai had, where there was a very bad name, one was the glamour world, right? You always believe that is something that good families don't get into, and the other was real estate, right? Yeah. And both without reason, if you really ask me. Today, you look at Bollywood, for instance. There are a plethora of producers, directors, movie houses, etc. But there are a few ones who are absolutely organized, who go by the book, are able to kind of turn out a script in a particular time. I say the same for real estate. There will be a whole slew of people who will be in this business. A lot of them giving it bad name, but a lot of us giving it a great name as well. I think this is one of the most basic businesses. This is every business is connected with real estate. You show me one business that is not. Not that it's a business, but everything from places of worship to places of healthcare to places when you go to like hospitals, to your offices, to your entertainment, you name it. Show me one business that is devoid of real estate, and there is none. So it is the base on which most other businesses build themselves. It is the best business to be in. You want 3 points from me for entrepreneurs who want to come in over here. A, please have a long-term vision. If you come in over here to get rich quick, you will go back from here, only licking your wounds, right? Stay focused, walk the straight and narrow, learn the trade. Once you understand this business, once you've understood what makes your client or your consumer or your customer tick, you have success, for the asking. And the last thing I think is, just clarity of purpose. Why am I in this business? What is it that I have that will make a difference, right? Every one of us can make great buildings by going to some architects. Every one of us can get finances organized by just having the right, abilities. But what is it that we will do which is going to be different? What is it going to set us apart? How do I make for a better life for my consumers? They say that if you can give your consumer what they need but they still don't know, you've got a great business going. And that is true for all businesses, more for the startups right now. And I take that line from there. But I see that true of real estate as well. I see that true of homes as well. I see that true of offices as well. I mean, look at the number of types of commercial developments that are going on in the city. I think there's a need for a lot more. I think there's a need for various types of housing that comes up in this city. I think with the present infrastructure that's going on, Kritika, out here in the city, 2025 would be when this city, which is a city of gold, will shine even brighter. You look at the kind of infrastructure the government is putting money into. Everything that should have been done 10 years back, which I don't want to say anything about, but even if I look at my tomorrow, it's bright, it's brighter than bright. You should encourage young professionals to get into this business. I encourage them all the time. And today I see people from various walks of life, whether they're coming from hospitality, they're coming from consulting, they're coming from financial world, they're coming in from everywhere into our business. And I love it. I think this business is finally coming of age.
True. Last not the least, I'll start with the rapid fire, which is quite famous for our Let's Talk Business series. So quickly, current book you are reading and why would you recommend it?
Psychology of Money, a very simple book, very simple principles, talks about how you should, talk about having enough rather than having a lot.
And worst and the best advice you have received till now? It can be any, from the earlier times or till now you have received.
Worst advice, in a strange sort of way, was find a work-life balance. This kind of throws you off balance every time. You're always comparing with others, right?
Yeah.
Best advice I have received in my life: do what you're good at. Don't worry about things you cannot control. Just stay focused on what you can control and keep moving ahead.
And what is current in your bucket list right now?
I hope I have a long time to kick the bucket, but in terms of work front, creating a company that will outlive hopefully generations that come after. On the personal side, continually working on health and improvement of time with family or more meaningful time with family. On the personal front, travel to learn and actually take some time off and read the scores of books that I have gathered over time, and maybe just it's a love affair that has been ignored for too long, my reading of books.
And your favorite vacation destination? Now you mentioned about travel.
Actually, vacation destinations aren't destinations. They're more the people that you go with. I have recently started going to ski destinations because my kids kind of enjoy that. I'm trying to get them more induced into diving or something that is closer to the beach. But they like skiing, so I like skiing. Your life becomes what your children like. So ski destinations are going to be something that I'll explore in time to come.
What is your pet peeve?
Cleanliness.
Okay, one leader you admire and why?
I would like to say my wife, she'd love that. No, leaders that I admire, I think in present times, Ratan Tata for sure. The man has, in spite of his age, managed to keep his company in line with growth, built on the trust that the Tata name had. Just built a company that most of us aspire to be like, and gets spoken about. His company gets spoken about more than he does. And quite honestly, there are quite a few leaders. I'd like to say, quite a few, but let's leave that for another day.
Okay,
Wow.
so one developer's journey that amazed you.
Oops. I'm quite unabashed in saying this. I think the Hiranandani Group has been someone that we have looked up to at all points of time. When I entered the business, I looked at two groups which I aspired to be like. One of them was Hiranandani, the other was Raheja. I still look up to both these groups. They've done an amazing job for themselves. Hey, listen, I have many favorites in this business. Oberoi is another company that's built itself up very well. Prestige has really ramped up brilliantly. Soba has done amazing amount of work.
Now you're quoting.
I like them all. I mean, I can tell you, I really like them all. And if you really ask me, the tiger of them all is DLF. Quite a growth story, quite a story actually. And today, I think he's far beyond most of us can touch. And don't forget Lodha. He's actually taught us quite a few things in the business that have allowed this industry. I mean, the vision that they had was phenomenal.
If not real estate, which sector you would have built your career upon?
Why not real estate?
If
Real estate
not,
is the
that's
best.
right. That's a rapid question, no?
If not real estate, I'd have been a traveler.
Traveler.
I'd only be a traveler. I'd be a travel guide. I'd be a storyteller of destinations. I'd have my own blog and be talking about various places. I think at heart we are all wanderers, and it'd be a great pleasure to talk about history, to talk about food, to talk about culture, to talk about just locations, and what better job than that?
The current word is influencer or the vlogger. So
Okay,
you're
I'll
a
remember
travel
that.
vlogger. Okay, so pick between power and money if you had to pick
Power.
one. What do you like better, getting up early or working late?
Working late.
Who do you look up to the most? Can be anything, like personal, like role model, anything you look up to the most.
Wow, no answer for that, but organized people who are able to do more with their time than I am.
Okay. What do you love most about your job?
It keeps me buzzing. I mean, there's a challenge every day, there is good news every day, there is at one point in time the pleasure of meeting different people every day. I just love it.
What's your superpower?
Patience.
And if you have to define your brand in 3 words?
Trustable, reputed, strong, futuristic. I think that should be enough.
So your advice to young students?
Focus on more than just what's written in the books. If you should be studying something, study it from the point of understanding it.
Not mugging it.
And not just trying to do it to get past it. There is a lot that every aspect of every page or every lecture teaches you. It needn't only be about the subject, but about how to connect with the rest of it. Basically, if you're studying, don't study it. Learn how to think from what you study.
Great. Thank you so much, Boman, for coming to Let's Talk Business. It was wonderful to have you. And
you're very sweet. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Cheers.